everyone, I've received lots of requests for this video, and this week I'm sharing the recipe for this roast pork with the uniquely crispy skin. As always, I'll share the tips and tricks so you can make this successfully at home, so please join me in this short video. Let's review the ingredients. We need pork belly, salt, vinegar, red food coloring, roast pork seasoning, 5-spice powder, oyster sauce, hoisin sauce, soy sauce, and vodka 5-spice marinade. In a small bowl, let's add the white vinegar and red food coloring. Let's mix it together and then we can set it aside for now. Next, we'll make the marinade. In a measuring cup, add the 5-spice powder, roast pork seasoning, oyster sauce, hoisin sauce, vodka 5-spice marinade, and lastly, soy sauce. And now let's combine everything together. To prepare the pork belly, let's sprinkle each side with salt. Gently rub the salt into the pork. Now let's rinse both sides of the pork belly with cool water. The salt acts as a cleaning agent and also helps to deodorize the meat. After we've rinsed off all of the salt, let's pat the pork belly dry with some paper towels. Let's place the pork belly skin side down on more paper towels. Next, we make cuts in the pork belly, about 1/2 inch deep and about 1 inch apart. The cuts will help the marinade to permeate the meat. After the pork is cooked, the lines will also help us cut it into smaller pieces for serving. If there's any loose or excess fat, we can trim this off as well. Using a brush, we coat the meat with the marinade. Let's cover just the meat portion of the pork belly, and let's be sure not to get any of the marinade on the pork skin. We can use the back of a knife to spread the meat and then to work the marinade into the cuts. Depending on the size of the pork belly, we may not use all of the marinade, and this is okay. Now let's place the pork belly skin side up into a baking dish or a large plate. Let's brush some marinade onto the sides of the pork belly, again being very careful not to get any on the skin. If we get any marinade on the skin, we can just wipe it off with a paper towel. Next, we sprinkle just a little bit of salt and then gently rub it into the skin. Let's take the vinegar and red food coloring solution we made earlier and brush it on the skin. Let's place the pork belly now into the refrigerator. We do not cover the meat as we need the cool air to dry out the skin. The drier the pork skin, the crispier it gets when we roast it. At a minimum, refrigerate the pork belly for at least 8 hours. If we can allow for extra time, refrigerating the pork belly for 24 hours yields the best results. As the meat will be quite cold, let it rest at room temperature for at least 30 minutes before baking. Let's preheat our oven to 325 degrees. To cook the pork belly, we will need a roasting pan. Let's add 1 cup of water into the bottom tray. We place the pork belly onto the tray with the skin side up. If your pork belly is uneven in thickness like the one I have, here's a trick to help level it out. Take folded pieces of foil and place it underneath the pork belly where it's flatter. A level piece of meat will ensure even browning and crisping of the skin. There's just one more step before we put this in the oven. Brush the skin with a thin layer of vinegar. The vinegar helps to make the skin crispy. Now let's place the pork into the oven. Note that it's placed in the middle of the oven. We bake for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, we brush the skin with another thin layer of vinegar. Set the oven to broil and allow the pork to roast for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes on broil, we should start to see some bubbles forming on the pork skin. Reduce the oven temperature back to 325 and then continue roasting for another 15 minutes. Now set the oven back to broil again. The second broil is the trick to make the skin really crispy, but we have to be careful to watch this as the pork skin has a tendency to burn during this stage. This final broil takes approximately 10 minutes. If there are areas of the pork skin that are browning up faster than others and we don't want them to burn, cover them up with small pieces of foil. It's perfectly normal to have some sections of the skin browner than others. After removing from the oven, let the pork rest for at least 10 minutes before cutting and serving. Following the cut lines that we made earlier, we can cut the pork into strips. And then we can cut into bite-sized pieces. We serve the crispy roast pork with fine rice noodles, fresh lettuce and herbs, carrot and radish pickles, and of course, fish sauce dipping sauce for a truly delicious Vietnamese meal. Hi, I hope you've enjoyed this easy how-to video. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post below. For full recipes, check out runawayrice.com. I work on new recipes each week, so please subscribe to my channel to stay tuned. This is Trang wishing you good eating and good health. Thanks for watching.